fill the side I cast with clay, put the one side I made right side up, and cast that in plaster to make the two-piece mold. Does that make sense? So now I have a dome of this clay, and I took a, I don't usually do this, but I thought it might be the only way I could sort of show this. I took a mold of the original model that I made of the eagle and this rubber substance that usually clay releases from, but I haven't had a lot of good luck with that today. So let's see what I do with that. But so I'm going to use it to kind of just show you the construction process. But again, the piece, the eagle has very much of a hand quality to it. Most of the articulation is in size, it's not in relief. And so it's a very straightforward method of making a sprig mold. Very unlike a lot of the English contemporaries. So let's see if this works. So I'm just going to push some clay in there. And, oops, might get a double. But, so then you have essentially the eagle. Now I'm going to, I just roughed that out to give you a sense. But how I did this originally is I blew the thing up to scale of the wet dimension, traced the outline of it, and then followed the image of the original to model it and articulate it. And I noticed, and again, that's always a challenge if you're working with images and not the original object. It's always something different. But can start to cut that out and just for sake of how this original model would be made, I would have, if I cut his foot, it's a little more like a turkey. I would have modeled this pretty flush to the surface and articulated it. But at least this way, you can get a sense of how it would make the mold. So then this would set up. I would put this inside of a throne ring of tall ring of clay and pour the plaster in over it and let that set up, and that would give you the plaster mold. One side of this I've already put some clay, and I felt it. The interesting thing about these bottles in general and the animal bottles is their construction. The clay, I think, was a real specific consistency. I think it was almost like a slurry, and was allowed to set up. They were not slip cast. There was no, I forgot to put the vent hole in this, but the vent hole is very small in all these molds that exist, the original molds. And so if you were to try to pour slip in it, the slip you're pouring in eventually would stop up the hole, and you also could not pour it out. So I knew that it wasn't that, and that's with trying it with porcelain. So I knew for sure that with a grainier, more substantive clay, there was no way they would have done that. But there was also kind of an inner seam that seemed like it had not been touched, on the inside after two halves were put together. So this I filled with clay, and this is the empty mold. Let's see here. I think it's worse. There you go. Okay, so again, we'll rough this out. This clay still has some rocks in it. And I'm just going to push this in, but I've been using it more like a slurry and letting it sort of set up. And so you want to push it into the mold, but you really want to push it in there because you need to get it into all the recesses, and you can scoop that excess out. And of course you can't, eventually you need to come flush to the edge of the mold. Now if the clay pulls away from the mold, you could risk getting a double image, which you do see sometimes too. I don't know about all this material. Okay, so hopefully that's pushed in enough. And I'm just going to take a tool, trim that clay around the edge. Take whatever I can here. Oh, there it is. Trim this clay that's around the edge so it'll be flush. And also the fish bottles, there's a small fish bottle fragment that you can see the interior of a salmon, and you can see these sort of swipe marks on the inside, so that would not be the case in a slip cast object. And what I think was going on is they put a thick slip of the same material of clay in a trail around the edge to connect the two pieces, and pounded the two molded pieces together and then take them apart. So your guess is as good as mine. This is going to work, but it feels like it's releasing, so hopefully we'll get something. So this is some of the same local clay that I thinned down. You don't want it to get too close to the edge because that could catch it. Let's see. And I'm going to see if I can pre-loosen that a little bit because that's sticking there. And when I put this piece in, I don't remember where the head of the eagle was. So, it might have some, is it the match? So, there is, it's a little soft. Bear with me. So there is your eagle. Oh, disco!